Mafia, welcome into the Bills Breakdown here by Chat Sports. My name is Moose, and if you clicked on the title of this video, you are expecting a full Buffalo Bills 2025 mock draft, and that is exactly what you are going to get. All of the ESPN latest mocks have kind of simmered down a little bit, so my turn to get in and give you a full Moose's mock draft. I've done 3 of them so far. This is my 4th. Now, in the previous mock drafts from ESPN, we explored a bunch of trades, so I am going to say no trades, like Seinfeld. No soup for you. No trades in this one, so we're going to give you a full Bills mock draft straight up with the picks that they already have. Now, this is sad. I'm going to say it's sad. I'm going to allow you to kind of deal with it, swell with it. We have not hit 300 likes in 10 videos. Unacceptable, says me. Unacceptable, says the bosses. So smash that thumbs up button if you love Bills content and you're ready for the 2025 NFL Draft. Speaking of, the Bills have 10 draft picks, as we have said before. They kind of fluctuate all over the place. This is the current state of what we've got. We've got 1 in round 1, 2 in round 2, 2 in round 4, 2 in round 5, and then 3 in round 6. So rather than just waste your time by explaining how the NFL draft works, how excited I am, let's just get right on into the picks, shall we? Coming in at number 1, well, not number 1, number 30, our round 1 pick. A guy that we're not going to spend way too much time on because we've talked about him ad nauseum here on the channel. Kenneth Grant, defensive lineman out of Michigan. I have told you once, I'll say it again. I am so unbelievably high on Kenneth Grant. Why? He is a freak athlete. 6'3", 342 pounds. He's got sort of a Jordan Davis on the Eagles sort of feel to him. He's incredibly athletic, really, really young, 22 years old in October. And like I said, he's great with his hands. He knows exactly how to shift his weight around on the defensive line. He's gotten better every single year that he's been at Michigan. I love Kenneth Grant. I think he's going to make an excellent addition to this Bills team if he is taken. And for that reason alone, I am telling you right now, if I had a flag in my hand, I am staking the claim for Kenneth Grant right now. He is my solidified choice at number 30 overall for the Buffalo Bills. Mark it down. With his size, his athleticism, he's good with his hands and his ability to stop the run. He is my solid choice at number 30. This guy coming in our first round 2 pick is actually someone that I haven't necessarily talked about too much. Now, I'm a huge Notre Dame Fighting Irish fan. That is my college team, so I'm very familiar with Benjamin Morrison. Here is what I will say about Ben. Unbelievably skilled, has the size, the speed, and the quickness that you're looking for in an NFL corner. The biggest issue is that last season, he injured his hip, and he missed the final 10 games of the season. So you didn't see him at all down the stretch of that amazing run for the Irish in the college football playoff. Now, with that being said, productivity was not an issue at Notre Dame. If you take a look at what he did throughout his career, 84 tackles, 27 pass breakups, 9 interceptions, one of those being a pick 6. I can tell you confidently that at the point of attack, Benjamin Morrison is unbelievable, not only in press coverage and man coverage, but he can shift back and play the zone, which is what the NFL is transitioning to more and more on defense. So if I get a guy that's great in press coverage, if I get a guy who's great in zone coverage, it should be a no-brainer. But that hip injury is something that a lot of analysts have said, we just can't take him in the first round, because now the question becomes, with that hip injury, is he going to be locked to open up his hips when a player, a speedy one at that, a speedy wide receiver, has a go route on him? Is he going to be able to plant his foot, twist his hips, and take off running? That's the question that remains to be seen. So I love Benjamin Morrison from a skill perspective, but is that injury going to hinder his ability to plant his foot, twist his hips, and take off and compete and stay with the speediest of NFL wide receivers? So I like Morrison coming in from a skill and a talent perspective. We're going to keep an eye on that injury. Here's what I want you to do, though. Grade my first two picks. A, B, C, D, or F. If you think I have no idea what I'm talking about, that's fine. Throw an F down there, but at least tell me why. And speaking of why, you might be wondering why I have this next guy coming in as our second round 2 pick at number 62, Jared Ivey from Ole Miss. Now, we have mentioned Walter Nolan on this channel previously, but Walter Nolan has climbed up draft boards tremendously. So Walter Nolan's probably going to be one of those guys that we cannot get unless we decide to move up. But remember, no trades in this one. So who else could we take from Ole Miss? Jared Ivey. Now, I'll be completely honest with you about Ivey. I don't necessarily know that you're drafting him to be a pure edge rusher because he's not explosive enough off the snap to be a solidified edge rusher. And the last couple of years have kind of shown that. He doesn't have the highest amount of sacks that you'd be looking for a guy that specifically played edge in 2024. Now, with that being said, what is one thing that stands out to me? His tackles for loss. He's so unbelievably big. The dude keeps putting on size. Here's the one thing I'll say about him. He's 6'5", 275 pounds. So as a pure edge rusher, he's a little bit too big. In fact, when you're talking about a traditional edge, you hear the phrase 3 technique come out. That means you're rushing 3 pass rushers. You're dropping everyone else back into coverage. That's not going to be where he excels. He's not explosive enough. He's not fast enough or athletic enough. Now, if he lost 20 pounds, we're having a different conversation. But what you could do is shift him inside to a traditional defensive end and have him play a 5 technique. What's a 5 technique? Well, we can infer that if a 3 technique is rushing 3, a 5 means you're playing a stereotypical run defense where you're rushing 5 at the quarterback. Now, edge and defensive end are kind of like 2 sides of the same coin. Edge is specifically to get after the quarterback. Defensive end kind of does both. They attack the quarterback, but they also stop the run. Defensive end is probably where you're going to see him transition to. I want to see him on the same defensive line as Ed Oliver. I want to see him on the same defensive line as Joey Bosa, and I want him to complement guys like AJ Epinesa and Greg Rousseau really, really well. You're not going to draft this guy to specifically get after the quarterback. It's not the way he plays. But if you shift him inside to defensive end, I think you could be looking at a very productive player that can also get you 5.5 to 6 sacks a season. All right, coming in with our first 4th round pick, I've talked about this guy as well, Savion Williams from TCU. I like to call him Diet Cordell Patterson. Why? He's got the almost exact same frame as Cordell. He's almost 6'4", 222 pounds, and he doesn't have a specific set position as a wide receiver. He's got this unique ability to play like a wildcat formation, so like a hybrid back wide receiver combo, maybe a little bit more like Deebo Samuel, not as thick and as trunky as Deebo Samuel is. But one thing I love about Savion Williams is, even though his route tree has not developed as an NFL prospect wide receiver, he can still be very productive with you based off of his athletic traits alone. And at TCU, he played really, really well. Take a look at his production. He got better every single year that he played. Now, again, the 611 yards is a lot to be desired. He doesn't have the best hands. He dropped a ton of passes at TCU. He dropped 8 in his senior season alone. That leads me to wonder, should he be more of a gadget-style wide receiver? Somebody that you can bring in a wildcat formation off of jet sweeps and perhaps on like a double reverse end around trick play type of player. I don't want him to be my 65 or 70 receptions a year guy. I want him to be 35 to 40 receptions a year, explosive plays over 500 yards, and throw in a couple of touchdowns. It adds an extra element to an offense that has already seen a wide receiver room get better and better and better. We re-signed a bunch of players and added Joshua Palmer in free agency. I don't think Savion would come in to be a guy that you were like, hey, he's going to be our wide receiver 3. No. He's just going to add that extra element. All right, so coming in at our number 4, our second fourth-round pick, I should say, Mello Dotson. He's the cornerback out of Kansas. Now, I know we already selected Ben Morrison. Mello Dotson's one of those players that, based off of his traits alone, I think he could develop into a really good player, but I don't think right away. I think this is a sort of sit and kind of watch and learn situation. We'll get to that here in just a second, but let's take a look at what he did in 2024. Not bad. 1 tackle for loss, so he wasn't necessarily involved in the run game nearly as much as I would like, but he had 12 pass breakups, he had 5 interceptions, and 2 pick sixes. So this guy is a ball hawk through and through. He's going to jump routes in order to make plays happen. He's one of those guys, kind of like a Trayvon Diggs. He might give up a lot in coverage, and that's one of the things that, a lot of draft analysts have said that they are not high on him with, is he has issues matching intermediate routes and double breakers, meaning unless the play is right in front of him, he's going to get burned. Now, with that being said, with those issues come instincts. So his instincts are, hey, if there's a route that's in front of me and the ball is coming, I'm going to jump it and be aggressive with it. And that could lead to some picks. But like I said, I'm not drafting him to be one of these players that starts day one. In fact, he'll probably just be a depth player because it's a sit and learn type of situation. And that sit and learn type of situation could be sitting behind a guy who was also taken late in one of our drafts, Christian Benford, who just got the bag. So if you learn how to tackle, if you learn how to sit back and play in zone coverage, and you learn how to not get beat from the very best that play in the league, this could be a guy that maybe after a year or two finds his way into the starting rotation. So I really like where he sits as a prospect, but again, this is not a draft and start day one. It's a rotational sit and learn type of situation if you draft Mello Dotson. Now, speaking of sitting and learning, we do have 5 other draft picks in this year's draft. I'm not going to go through every single one of them because we'd be here forever. And it should be noted also that rounds 5 through 7 are traditionally, not all the time, you'll find a gem every once in a while, but traditionally they're rotational pieces, depth pieces, and practice squad players. So here's a list of some of the guys. One guy that I do want to mention, Ty Felton, is actually one guy that I think could make an immediate impact on this roster. He's a speedy wide receiver out of Maryland. The problem is he's not very big, and his production the last couple of seasons were a lot to be desired. But he's got some interesting speedy characteristics to play out of the slot that I would like to see. Outside of that, majority of these guys right here, they're going to be rotational pieces for the Buffalo Bills. All right, before we end today's show, we always have to give an update on our AFC East sub-battle, and I have to hand it to you guys. Over the last week, you have been doing amazing. This is 1 week's time. You'll notice something. We are slaughtering the New York Jets. We are comfortably in the lead over the Dolphins, but we're losing to the New England Patriots. That cannot happen. We cannot let that channel, who owned us for years with Tom Brady, beat us on YouTube. So here's what I need you to do. Hit that subscribe button. It is completely free. It will never, ever charge you. We will never charge you anything here at the Bills Breakdown, whereas other places might charge you $120 a month. Not going to say the name of that particular company, but I'll just let it be where it is. Like today's video, we're trying to get to 300. Share this with a Bills fan who is looking to expand their Bills knowledge. Until next time, my name is Moose. Be cool.